Previously on the bottom shelf.
Morning.
Does anybody hear a siren?
John, did you push another button?
No, it just the one I accidentally pushed stayed down. It's not coming back up.
Which button was it?
It was this one right here, this red one.
No. We don't know what's gonna happen now.
This is not a test. This is not a test.
Intercepting their signal was so easy. Very well then. Well, we've seen what they can do with terrible movies. But fortunately, John hit a special button I hit on the ship. So let's see what they can do when I show the movies that aren't so terrible for the next little while.
Glix, what just happened? What happened with the impossibility drive? Why is there an impossibility drive on this station?
Right as John hit the impossibility drive, we encountered a wormhole. We are now in the middle of the singularity. In order to restore order to the station, we need to review movies that are, quote, good.
Wait,
That doesn't make sense.
if we just... Is this going to be like when people come up too fast from deep pressure? Like if we just dive instantly into good movies that it'll like...
Are you
cause
worried
us to
about an air bubble
explode?
getting into your brain?
I'm worried about exploding. Like, have you ever seen the original Total Recall when
No.
depressurization happens?
No.
It's a blast.
I had nightmares as a kid from that.
I rewound it because I laughed at it too hard. Hey, I wonder if that's going to be on the list. I don't know. Oh man. So what?
What was
Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry, I've been out for a little bit.
Hey, Branson.
Do you have some sushi, my dude?
You playing some
No,
Splatoon?
I'm allergic.
Please tell me you learned the hula.
Well, I mean, I could try.
Look
Why are you
down.
looking at me like that? Oh my gosh! What?
Glix!
What was it?
Prepare yourself to discover a world of terrible movies. See move abreast with on the bottom shelf.
What's up, everybody?
I'm uncomfortable.
Glix, can you explain what happened to Branson?
Branson was also in the middle of teleporting onto the ship. The improbability drive provided something for the bottom half of his body till we can restore it to normal.
Guys, I just had an awesome idea.
Oh no.
Somebody give me a light bulb. Hang on. Wait.
Andy's gonna kill us.
Look. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
I don't know what's happening.
Guys, I'm a Spider-Man villain. I am a literal Dr. Octopus. Look, I have tentacles.
Branson, you
don't-
really
This
have
is
a
so
bachelor's.
cool.
Branson,
What?
I'm not sure if I'm okay with just staring at another man's tentacles.
Well, until someone can get me a bottom sweater.
A hula skirt honestly seems best.
Somebody call Squid. Hey, movie lovers and movie haters, welcome to We Think the Bottom Shelf. This is the podcast where every movie has a place, and we've gone through a wormhole and we're stuck in a weird dimension where Branson has not human legs.
Legs! Human legs! Sorry.
He got new legs. Lieutenant Dan's got new legs.
Branson's got legs.
I've
He
got
doesn't
legs
know
to
how to
spare,
use
man.
them. I wonder how many leg references we can pull
He's
in.
got 8 legs.
These legs were made for. Never mind. I'm not going to do that.
Not for walking.
I was told I couldn't say that word because it was alienating to people, so I won't say it.
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about we're not supposed to say squelch.
John, on the other hand, has no problem saying that word.
Okay, so
Sorry, I had to stop.
So we've gone through a wormhole, and our normally garbage pile of movies has been replaced with supposedly good ones.
Well,
Oh.
we're assuming that basically there's 4 boxes here, and each one has our name on it. And
Interesting.
I guess we have to watch whatever's in each person's box.
I hope this is a good thing.
I guess in memoriam of Branson's lower half, it should be his turn first. You want?
I thought we were going to put it to a vote. I have 8 votes.
Branson, I need your bottom legs to stay where I can see them. They're freaking me out.
Oh,
Or back
okay.
legs. Or back legs.
Sorry.
I missaid that. But the
Branson,
like,
stop crawling on the wall.
no, don't do that.
Oh
Branson,
my gosh!
I swear to
guys,
Branson,
look,
I swear to
look!
God, I swear to God, if I wake up,
Oh my
if I wake up one night and you're spread out on the wall like one of them big brown furry buggers that just hang out on the wall, I'll hurt you.
I need a Spider-Man mask, like now.
Celeste, pick up Branson's movie from the box and tell us what we're doing today.
Looks like it's Ladyhawke from all of his tentacles just got really, really like high. Like he stood up on his
my
toes.
gosh.
He has no toes. How do you say that?
This is quite possibly the best day ever.
Okay.
I
It's
now
the tip
can
of a
move on the wall like Spider-Man, and my designated movie is my favorite movie ever.
Brought to you by the leader of the Donner Party. No, not that one. But Richard Donner, who directed Superman and Lethal Weapon, written by the Marlboro Man. And I mean Edward Karma, the writers of John's favorite band name, Enemy Mine, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, and Merlin. This medieval love story is brought to life with the acting of the man who mastered taking days off, Matthew Broderick, the man who may or may not have been a robot in Blade Runner, Rudiger. How do you say that? Rutger. How do you say his last name?
Hauer.
And Catwoman herself, Michelle Pfeiffer.
I mean, it looks like it's directed by somebody nice.
I mean,
Oh,
here,
yeah.
Branson, read the back of the box.
Okay.
Golly,
you gotta give it drama.
all of the
All right,
tentacles.
here we go.
Hey, Branson,
Yes.
you need to work on this a little bit. Each time you coughed there, you squirted a little ink.
Sorry. I'm still getting used to all this. Okay.
It happens with
I'll-
age, brother. I'm just saying.
Hang on. I can almost reach the mop over there.
No. Just read the back. Of the
There we
script.
go.
Oh,
I can mop while I read this. See, watch.
oh,
This
no.
is coming in handy, guys. I gotta say, this isn't so bad. Seriously.
Oh. Okay,
All
cool.
right.
And say, read the back of the box.
Ladyhawke is the enchanting tale of a beauty, Michelle Pfeiffer, a knight, Rutger Hauer, and a pickpocket known as the Mouse, Matthew Broderick. Once the knight and the lady were lovers. Now the curse of an evil bishop, John Wood, keeps them always together, eternally apart. By day she is a hawk, by night he is a wolf. To end the evil spell, the knight vows to break into the bishop's stronghold with the help from the mouse. Directed by Richard Donner and photographed by 3-time Academy Award winner Vittorio Storaro, Ladyhawke is the most congenial spot for happy ever after since Camelot. Said by Rita Kempley, The Washington Post.
Well, I mean, sounds interesting.
It's superb. Absolutely superb.
I feel like you have a biased opinion on this, though. I mean, this was
That
your
doesn't mean it's a
box.
wrong opinion. It can be biasedly right.
Biased
Biasedly right.
What? Okay. All right. Well, being as we're trapped in a wormhole, I guess we don't have any interactions. Just a second.
It's the stunned silence of awe from the
No,
community.
no, he's fighting one of your tentacles.
Oh, sorry. No. Number three, stop. We've talked about this. Settle down.
When did you have time to talk to your tentacles?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was fighting off a sneeze. Wasn't sure if it wanted to come out or not. All right,
Branson, hand him
so
a tissue.
There you go. Here's a whole box.
I'm
Why
good, brother.
slimy?
Thanks. Anyway, so I froze. So let's go ahead and do some trivia. Apparently, in one scene in this, Rutger Hauer's character tells Philippe Gaston to ride his horse to Imperious's castle and then slaps the horse's rear end to make it ride. However, the first time the scene was filmed, Hauer slapped the horse too hard and it took off over a hill and off into the horizon. And the horse was too powerful for Broderick to stop. So all anyone could do was just sit and wait for him to come back eventually.
No.
Oh my gosh. That's one way to get a day off.
I was going to say, that's probably why he needed the day off.
That is a thing, man. Spike 2, the hawk featured in this movie, worked in the Universal Bird Show until the year 2000, when she was transferred to the National Audubon Society and became an Audubon ambassador until the day she died in May of 2007.
Oh,
Another hawk was used for flying scenes and another to sit on Rutger Hauer's arm. One enjoyed Hauer's company so much that it would ruffle its feathers when it seated on his arm, making it look more like a chicken.
Hey, Rutger Hauer got his chicks, man. You know.
I
I mean,
mean,
they help you fly. Like you just hold on to them and run, right?
and so the producer and director of this movie, Richard Donner, originally wanted to cast Rutger Hauer as the captain of the guard and Kurt Russell as Navarre. And Rutger Hauer wasn't interested in that role, but expressed interest in playing Navarre. And then when Russell
Navarre.
dropped out a few days before principal photography began, the part was just handed over to Hauer. So,
And we're very
Interesting.
glad it was.
So what happened to
Moral
the?
story.
How did they get the other guy to play the captain? Where'd he come from?
I don't know.
Moral of the story: make your desires known.
I guess
Mhm.
so. I would have been interested to see Kurt Russell play that part though.
Okay, Kurt Russell is
Snake.
Snake
Escape
Plissken.
from the North Pole. Okay, cool.
Escape from medieval England.
Yeah, apparently.
It would have been interesting, but I think it would have been a different movie if he'd have played Navarre.
Well,
He brings a presence and a
in it,
type
so yeah.
of personality to every character that he has. It would have been a very different movie.
It would have.
Yeah. I don't know that he would have worked with Broderick as well as Rutger
Well,
Hauer did.
let's follow the formula, people. I don't want to be stuck in this wormhole.
You want to go back to watching bad movies?
I want to be able to go back to at least having a few taco machines on the outside.
And having
Are you
a
feeling sad, John? Do you need a hug?
I need.
Come here, big guy.
Ugh. I will say this, Branson. I have had octopus sushi before.
Why would you tell him that?
And
Calamari's good.
I do like calamari. And I got an air fryer for Christmas, Dallas.
I have swords.
Guys.
And you do owe him for stabbing you in the neck.
Are we still on this?
For me, if y'all hurt him, Mandy is going to come after me.
That sounds like a problem for you to worry about.
I'm going to come after you if she comes after me.
Expectations, everybody. What are
My
our
expectations are I have no idea what I'm walking into. I have never seen this movie a day in my life. The first time I ever heard about this movie was when Branson did a guest appearance on Geek Devotions like 4 years ago and talked about Ladyhawke. And so I'm walking in blind.
I'll say this: I don't normally rock with like medieval fantasy type of stuff, so but we'll see what happens.
Doesn't rock with medieval fantasy kind of stuff.
I also have no knowledge of this other than Branson loves it. Although it's the name's Ladyhawke, so it should be about a talking hawk, right?
We'll save that for the spoiler section.
All right, Branson. I have a feeling I know how you're gonna feel about this one, but what are your expectations?
So real talk. I've lost count of how many times I've seen this movie. I watch it at least twice a year. Usually on my birthday and Father's Day, because one of the things that our family does to celebrate me is we sit down and watch this movie. I stumbled on it by accident. It was playing on the Sci-Fi Channel one day when I was in high school, and I watched it on a whim just because I was bored and absolutely fell in love with the movie. Uh, when Mandy and I were dating, one of the first Christmas gifts she ever got for me was a DVD copy of this movie, and I just, I just loved the movie. You know, I expect to be just as entertained and just as enthralled and just as swept up into it as I am every time I watch it. So, those are my expectations.
All right, gushing like you would expect somebody with tentacles for legs to do.
I like how he was like visibly holding down the excitement and passion.
Right.
Like he brought that down to like a Bob Ross level. He's like, happy mistakes of coming home and finding out on Sci-Fi Channel.
Did you just call this movie a happy mistake?
Well, it's for Branson because he happily found it on his accident.
Yeah. All right. So as far as where I'm at with this movie, like I am aware of this movie's existence and what the what the core shtick of this film is. So like I know the girl and the guy and the thing that's going on. I like trying not to
what is love?
spoil. Baby, don't hurt me. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm aware of the plot points of this movie. I recall my mom at one point being like, "Oh yeah, I like that movie." And that's about it. That's all I know is like my mom thinks this movie's okay and I know the thing and the thing. So without trying to spoil things.
Sweet.
So as far as whether or not I'm gonna like it, I don't know. Maybe sometimes I like the things my mom likes in movies. So,
well, let's find out.
Yes, let's go.
I'm eager.
Find out.
Dear listeners, this is your opportunity to escape. Our crew has just entered into the media projection chamber. What horrors and madness that they consume are unknown. Their mental state upon their return is unknown. You have been warned.
Oh my God, I understand Branson so much more now. What
I'll
the
be
crap?
there, Father. I'll be there even if I have to pick the lock. Oh, it's wonderful.
Oh,
Do y'all need
Branson.
a tissue? I have tissue to spare. Here.
Oh,
Don't reach for that tentacle, though. That's my popcorn.
Did you just say you had a to shoot a sparrow?
I have like a spare box over here. Spare.
A spare box of sparrows?
Tissues.
Tissues.
Oh, Kleenex. Got it.
Yeah. Celeste, no, was it just? I mean, just to tie this into a different show that we do in a different reality. Was it just me, or did the story reek of like the French version of The Princess Bride?
Shut your mouth. I'm gonna say no.
As you wish.
That is inconceivable.
I do not think that word means what you think it means.
Oh my!
Does anybody want a peanut?
Hello, my name is Anigo La Mandoria. That still sounds Spanish. I can't do accents.
Spanish and French are so closely related that
I like-
honestly,
You can't do French and you can't do Scottish, so or
No, I
Irish.
can do Scottish. I can't do Irish because it
That's what
always
it is.
sounds Scottish.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
So-
Lord. All right, so this movie. Let's talk about let's talk about how we feel about this movie without talking about the specifics of this movie. We'll defer to Her Majesty. Celeste. Just
eh.
This is spoiler-free conversations here. Talk about anything else.
So it had some fun bits.
Okay.
Fun bits. Fun. Okay. This is going to be one of those shows.
okay. Well, all right.
I'm ready.
Well,
That's
okay,
all right.
I'm
okay.
gonna be the one to ask the question that the question that needs to be asked about this movie that doesn't pertain to the plot. Why disco?
Talking about for the backing track of everything.
Why now?
Philharmonic Orchestra, man.
It was the 80s, my dude.
My dude,
I
this
saw-
was 80. This was 85. This was long after disco died. Like, this is why.
I don't know. I was very confused.
I will say this. Like, I know it was disco-ish, but it felt very 80s. Like the
Oh, it did.
entire film,
Very 80s.
it felt like a 1980s film.
I
From the
legitimately was
storytelling, the pacing, everything.
There was a couple. Go ahead, Celeste.
I legitimately was waiting for David Bowie to pop out of a corner somewhere.
You got a child. Oh, no, not yet. Okay, come back later. I'll say this.
Dance, pigeon, dance.
I think this may be the youngest I've ever seen Michelle Pfeiffer in my life. I don't think I've ever seen her younger.
I think this was her first, if I recall right.
Wasn't it the same? She's the same age for Catwoman?
No.
No, Catwoman was in
early
like
90s.
92.
Yeah.
This is 86.
She was older.
She did
She was older.
Scarface in 83.
Mm.
Grease 2. She was a character in Grease 2.
I know she was in Grease 2.
Which
She
I
was in
just
a
now remember I
movie
did
with,
watch that, so I have seen that.
She played a waitress in a movie with Al Pacino, but I don't know.
Scarface.
No, it wasn't Scarface. It was a romance. There was this guy who got a job working as a chef at a diner, and she was a waitress at the diner. It was a love story.
Was it Dog Day Afternoon?
I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it now.
Anyway, let's talk about this movie, the one that that we watched,
Yeah.
because it's Branson's favorite.
I thought the scenery was nice. I thought that the I don't know where they filmed it. Maybe you guys know, but
no
I thought
idea.
It was a beautiful
Castle
backdrop.
ruins in Europe. There were actual castle ruins in Europe. I watched the director's commentary years ago,
So
and it was actual castle ruins.
my go ahead, Dallas. I'm sorry, I'm stepping on everybody tonight.
No, that's cool. I was just saying that I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a lovely view of everything.
It really was. The cathedral was pretty.
Oh yeah.
Although I kept expecting a vampire lord to come out of the floor.
But
there was a mouse.
I do have a gripe with this movie, and it's kind of a gripe I have for a lot of medieval movies that were filmed about this time. In that, like,
is it how clean
the way the
was?
costuming is done for these? Like, there's a couple times when they would shoot Matthew Broderick from the back where he had the pants on, and then the stuff that was tied around his pant legs, I guess, to make it look more medieval-ish. And then the way his shoes were on there, like there was a couple times from the back, it literally just looked like he was wearing gray sweatpants with shoelaces tied around the bottom of it, and some Reebok high top 1980s looking basketball shoes on.
I will say this: the armor that was worn by the bishop's guards and the swords that they fought with, they very much looked like stage props.
Oh yeah,
like a Broadway play. So there wasn't a lot of realism put into those things.
Oh, for sure. Or the magical helmets that they had that had the visors going across the eyes. That totally reminded me of those sunglasses they had in the 1980s that had those little mini plastic sun visors going across your
Uh-huh.
field of vision.
I gotta be honest though, I thought those looked kind of cool. They had a weird, like, I get practically they probably wouldn't work in an actual medieval sword fight, but I thought they looked cool, especially Navarre's because it had the wings coming around,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah,
So he
I
had like
noticed
this
that when.
hawk motif. I
Yeah,
thought that was cool.
I liked it. I thought that was kind of cool looking. I think it would look better for a like a sci-fi type of thing. If they were to put
Yeah.
this like on
Yeah.
another Earth and like it was like one of those like high fantasy sci-fis, kind of like Kroll, I think it would
Yeah.
have worked a lot better.
Yeah, like a futuristic
Bro,
medieval type thing.
Mhm.
we've already popped that nostalgia snot bubble with Kroll, my dude. Nothing's better with Kroll. Kroll wasn't good to begin with. I mean, it remembers better than it actually watches. So
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Guyver 2.
But that being said, he said Guyver too. But yeah, the costuming, I'm with you, John. Like there's a lot of things about you're like, all right, you guys are just they look like props. They look cool at times, but they just didn't fit right. It felt like they were from a different space for some reason.
I just need to know what they put onto the prisoners' uniforms that Matthew Broderick's outfit before he got more clothes because he changed clothes at least once. I feel like that's not a spoiler. Um, what they put on it to keep the ick out of it because it was a linen color,
Right. But they were all
not a
white.
skin color.
But that just plays into it very much had a stage
Mm-hmm.
quality to it, like almost like you were watching a play
Mm-hmm.
more so than a film,
Yeah.
well,
you know.
that would start to explain Matthew Broderick's acting quality in this movie.
How old was he in this movie?
Mm.
This might have been his debut movie, because he was super young.
If only he was super talented too.
Hey, I liked him in
He was
Red Squad.
24 years old in this film, and this is not his first film.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
To be fair, he kind of does play the same character and everything.
Before that, he was in in a show called Lou Grant. Then he was in a movie called Max Dugan Returns. Then he was in War Games before, which was where I first saw him, and I enjoy War Games. And then he was in a movie called 1918, and then he was in Ladyhawke.
Ah,
So yeah, I mean, he was like I said 24.
You want to know what other movie he was also into?
What's that?
Bueller's Day Off.
Godzilla.
Ferris
Yeah.
Bueller and the Big Lizard. He was also in Rick and Morty.
That makes sense. Why does that make so much sense?
Anyway, let's stop talking about terrible actors and talk about this movie.
I think that there are certain there's something I want to talk about, but I can't do it without getting into a spoiler. So I'm gonna hold off on
see,
saying it.
that's how I feel about Matthew Broderick's acting, but I have to point out specific things in order to rebut, so I can't say anything right now. But my
All right.
silence is not agreement.
My
All right,
silence
well,
is not agreement. Can I
well,
talk
you hear
about
it
Spanish?
first.
The Spanish poster for it is wild looking. Like it is the worst drawing I've ever seen in my life.
We're going to say the Spanish Inquisition. And I was like, I actually am expecting the Spanish Inquisition.
I mean, what a show.
Well, all right then. Let's go ahead and just rip this band-aid off because Branson's frothing at the mouth and Dallas wants to blow something up. So
That might actually be ink, given my current condition. Sorry.
Aw, you made me ink.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
Okay. Matthew Broderick does play the same character in almost all of his movies, especially the younger ones. I don't deny that, but it fits in this movie. I love his character in this movie. He is the embodiment of a struggling baby Christian who is trying to understand all these moral lessons that he thinks he knows but doesn't actually know. And he's constantly trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. He's struggling with, when I do the right thing, it's the right thing, but I get bad results. And when I do the wrong thing, it's the wrong thing, but it makes me happy. He embodies that. And he's the comic relief of the movie. Otherwise, this would be a very depressing movie. It's about unfulfilled love and revenge and all that. And by bringing in the mouse, it brings a sense of levity. It brings a sense of hope. He is the mouthpiece for the two lovers. They are completely unable to communicate until he comes into the scene. And even though he's not quoting verbatim what they say, he's saying what they feel in their heart. And I'm rambling again, aren't I? Okay. I'm gonna put my tentacles back down.
To counter, sir, to counter, I will say this. My issue was not with the character Matthew Broderick played. My issue is with Matthew Broderick. I don't think he did a good job in this movie. I didn't care about his character. I don't. I didn't even believe. I didn't even feel like his character was a real person. It felt like this is a caricature being done by Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick was like the Muppet. So instead of, you always have in a Muppet movie, you always have a few humans and then everybody else is Muppets. In this movie, Matthew Broderick was the Muppet and everybody else was the humans.
Yes, that's actually a really good
Mhm.
allegory for what I'm trying to say.
Because I had the issue of, like, it felt like because of Matthew Broderick's portrayal of the character, I had the issue of it was taking me out of the movie because it would be this really serious moment and he's over here cracking jokes and, like, they're not funny.
They were funny to me. I laughed out loud several
Every once
times.
in a while he had a funny joke.
So, I mean,
And generally
I
the
thought it was
ones that I
hilarious.
laughed at were the ones that I was actually saying while I was watching it. Because every once in a while it would be something, but I think it would have been a better movie had they tried to play it straight.
I'm
See,
calling for a character swap between two different movies on this. I think I would have enjoyed Matthew Broderick's character better in The Princess Bride, and I would have enjoyed Inigo Montoya better in this movie.
The
But in The
problem
Because
Princess Bride, his character would have gotten lost because that whole movie is one-liners and comic relief and this and that. And don't get me
well,
wrong, I love Princess Bride. I think it's a
maybe
great
then
movie.
he would have learned how to do it right because
He
he just
did it right. He already did it right. You're just a sourpuss. He
I'm
did it
not.
wonderfully.
Bro, I promise you, I wanted to like I came into this for your sake wanting to like this movie, for my mom's sake wanting to like this movie. Um it's just, for me, it felt like everybody in this movie was trying to go towards Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Matthew Broderick was trying to go towards The Princess Bride.
I think he was trying to go towards Men in Tights.
see, I'm just gonna throw this out there because I haven't given my opinion a bit yet on this discussion. As far as Matthew Broderick's character and the comedy brought, it actually helped me get through the movie more. 80s movies suffer with storytelling as far as
Yeah, they
pacing.
do.
It is their pacing is horrific, and Matthew Broderick brought a level of levity that allowed me to continue through it. He brought the little break, and like Branson said, he was that bridge between the two. He was a kind of awkwardness to it. It is the same character as Branson said in every Matthew Broderick movie he's ever done in his entire adult life, and in his afterlife when they have AI him doing stuff later. It's the same character, but it helped me to get through the movie more because it broke up the exposition. It broke up the longness of everything, and it gave me a character that I can be like, oh, okay, I can enjoy this character.
Again, I think that if it had been somebody else playing the character and played it a little less goofy and a little more sarcastic humor, and maybe that's just a preference because I prefer sarcasm, especially in movies. So, like, I don't get me wrong, I love a good goofy movie, but when you're mixing a serious tone with a funny tone, sarcasm to me fits better
Mhm.
because it just flows easier, in my opinion. Again, I could be wrong. That's just how I feel.
I will go with that. I would say if you'll accept my allegory, um, I felt like this movie, for that part, it called for Groucho Marx, but we got Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Or rather, it called for Groucho and we got the Stooges, because there wasn't Charlie Chaplin, but to me is not as good of a comparison. But that's just my own personal. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. I rambled. It's a good
But
analogy.
the Stooges, Philippe Gaston is a guy who he has a high intelligence, but not a lot of wisdom.
Hmm.
Like, he's smart enough to get himself in trouble, but not smart enough to avoid it. Like, when you first meet his character, he's so excited that he's escaped from the dungeons of Aquila that the first thing he does is run to an inn to brag about it, and doesn't stop to think for a second, I'm bragging to an inn within walking distance of the dungeon I just escaped from, and there might be soldiers here looking for me. And that's why that whole scene is great, because he's bragging, and he has this gentlemanly way that even when he's talking with guys who absolutely hate him, he's polite. He's saying things. Like, he cuts the captain on the guard on the cheek and says, "I'm so terribly sorry." Like, he's constantly winging it and keeps getting into trouble over and over and over again. And that, to me, is what makes his conversation with Navarre after the incident on the ice, when he says, "That sword has become a symbol of your hatred and grim death. There's no quest now. There's a chance for you to have life." And he is genuinely pissed off at Navarre. And so throughout the whole movie, he's awkward and weird and jumping into these situations. But then in that scene, he's had enough. He's had enough of Navarre's selfishness. He's had enough of Navarre's quest for vengeance. He genuinely, because he cares about Navarre, he genuinely wants to see him happy, genuinely wants to see Isabeau happy. And so that makes that scene where he's just laying it all out there and says, "Let me tell you how selfish you're being right now. Oh, and by the way, you see these scratches? This is what I got saving your life last night." It accents that scene so clearly, because that's one of the few times in the movie he actually is serious, that he is speaking truth, that he is speaking wisdom. It's one of the wisest moments in the movie,
I will say,
and one of my favorite scenes, actually.
that scene was very well done. My problem was that, again, he was so goofy in moments that it took me out of the movie. Like, it made me lose interest. The other issue I had, though, was I didn't think the main character was interesting. Like, the main guy. He was obnoxious, and I had no interest in his plot line. Now, when it switched to the girl, to Michelle Pfeiffer, all about it. But when he was talking, I'm like, "Yeah, you're okay, cool."
Mm.
He
I
was
had a
consumed with vengeance.
I had a similar problem, but for different reasons. Like for me, like but it was for both Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer. Like, because every time Michelle Pfeiffer's on the scene, all on the screen, all I could think was like, "There's Catwoman," and
I thought
then
I thought she actually did a really good job of playing somebody who's not in a
that
human body all the time.
that's fine. It's just my problem is like if my brain auto associates you with a specific role too hard, that's just who you are.
Yeah,
See,
and that might be a
I
mistake
saw
with
I saw Batman
It's
Returns first, and so I knew her as Catwoman first.
mm-hmm.
After I saw Ladyhawke for the first time, and I went back and saw Batman Returns later, I actually had the thought, Isabeau looks a little older. Like, I cannot see her as Catwoman anymore
Well, as
because of this movie.
but you see, the problem is on the other side of it, though. With Rutger Hauer, I'm like hobo with a shotgun.
I don't know what that is.
It's a movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a movie, and it's a really good movie. Branson, you'll never watch it,
No, I
um,
won't.
but it's a very good. It's a very good. What's the word I'm looking for?
dark comedy.
grindhouse movie.
Mm.
But I digress. So, I'm caught between these two things where it's just like Batman, hobo with a shotgun, Batman, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
How did that one get in there?
Because Rutger Hauer was also the main villain in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie from 1990.
He was.
Master? No, the movie. Never mind. I haven't seen that one still.
That's where it all began, everybody. Luke Perry and Christy Swanson.
That's the first time I actually saw him.
Well, that must
Anyway.
have been the first time I saw him too, but I don't remember it. Clearly, it didn't leave an impression.
Anyway, so it's just one of those things. I had the same issue, and I loved the remake of True Grit, but it was the same. I had the same issue with what's his face, who was playing the main lead in the True Grit remake.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges. Every time I saw it on there, I'm like, check it out, man. The dude's riding the horse.
Oh, that's funny.
But the end scene with Michelle Pfeiffer was amazing. Like where she walked up to the priest and just kind of was like glaring at him.
Drops
she
the Jess in his hand.
She plays that really well.
When she
type of-
walked in, I was like, man, she is fierce in this scene.
Yeah. But again, in order to appreciate that, you have to spend an entire movie with her living a half-life where she's a bird half the time. The man that she absolutely loves, she thinks she will never see again. And then in that moment, she's the conflicting emotions because she finally sees her true love in human form for the first time in years. And then she also sees the man who put her life through the torture that it is. I mean,
See, I just think Michelle Pfeiffer's fierce.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna win the heart and mind of Dallas by saying it.
I might have
this story would have worked better as a samurai movie.
I can make that happen in my head.
I was about to say, we are not doing a movie.
But do you see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
Like Rutger Hauer's character is like some banished Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that would have made a bit more sense to me.
And Michelle Pfeiffer's character would have been like some kind of priest maiden, right? And they fell in love, but they're cursed not to be there by some evil monk of some other like Shaolin order.
It would have been a rolling
You're
shogun.
saying change the nationality of the film and you instantly like it better?
No, it makes more sense.
Well, I think here's the deal.
Because we can't guarantee that these actors would have done a better job.
I think it's not the nationality, Branson. It's the cultural reference. In my head, I can make connections to certain cultural discussions and norms and things that we've seen.
The reason why the Ronin would have to go exact his revenge on the.
But
right.
But the thing is, like, I'm not steeped in medieval European romance. You are. And so for you, because you are deep in that, you are the Knights of the Round Table. You are deep into the romances. You are a romantic.
Every generation having a quest is very much a medieval thing. Like him wanting to fill a jewel on his sword, his family sword.
Yeah,
that was a thing. That was totally a thing. So that mission to kill.
I wanted that story. I wanted that if they had gone into that conversation, that felt like such a fleeting thing.
Yeah.
If they had gone in a little bit more detail about the quest to put a gem in the stone, to make that whole,
like
and have some sort of
that my great grandfather did, and he did this, and this,
and then tie that into this love affair with Michelle Pfeiffer's character. I think that would have elevated this another level for me. I think it would have grounded the quest aspect.
Yeah,
I understand the romance of it and the love, the desire of like it's legitimately it is a beautiful and very caring story of this romance of lovers never being able to touch each other. Like they go into the whole thing about like the priest goes into the last minute, and I appreciated that whole thing where he was like, that right at sunrise, right when they think they could touch each other, they cannot. They transform, they change. And it's that forever missing love. I totally get that, and I respect it wholeheartedly. But again, it's just because John and I we're very steeped in Asian cultural stuff just because it's our personal interest. And when I think about medieval stuff, all I can think about is, do they brush their teeth? And so it's just I'm not deep into it. But I can see them doing that and making it work out. I don't think the story doesn't make sense. I want to make that clear. I
Yeah.
think the story makes sense perfectly, and I understand the struggle. And I my problem I ran into I did on the struggle is the DVD copy we had has no subtitles, and or at least the side of it we did, and so I was having a hard time hearing the dialogue in some scenes,
It was
and
pretty quiet, but
and
it loud.
the
So you want
yeah
to turn.
the explanation on the front end about why they were doing what they're doing. I picked out like as soon as the wolf scene ended, I looked at Celeste. I was like, Rama one half. By day he's a dude. By night he's a chick, and not quite that, but like it was like the reverse. Like one wakes up, the other one
Yeah.
does their thing. Like I called it right away, but I didn't understand the intricacy of it, and I missed portion. I actually had to spend a portion of the movie piecing it together. I still don't quite understand why the priest was a jerk totally in what he did and what the bishop did, because it was hard hearing certain things for me. But
You
other
talking
than
about the
that,
Bishop of Aquila?
The
yeah, yeah.
the bishop didn't want to be a bishop. He wanted to get married.
Mhm.
She said no.
No, the
Yeah.
one that betrayed him. I missed how
Yeah,
he betrayed him.
he got drunk.
Father Imperius, his vice is drunkenness. He
Mhm.
likes the alcoholic beverages too much.
Mm.
But he was aware of Navarre and Isabeau's love for each other because they both talked to him about it. He was like the priest in Romeo and Juliet that was kind of helping them see each other.
Mm.
That was kind of his role. Well, he got drunk one night and admitted to the bishop, "Yeah, I'm helping Navarre and Isabeau have love together," and that ticked the bishop off.
Mm.
So that started the chase, and
Yeah.
he chased them down. They were running away, and he was chasing them. And when he realized he could never quite catch up to them, that's when he made a deal with the devil, cursed them
Mhm.
with this whole idea of, if I can't have her, then no man will. And so he cursed them both to where they would always be together, but never actually be able to be together.
Right.
You know,
I get that now. I see what's happening.
Can two things, two thoughts. My last two thoughts on this side of the grades. One, I don't think they had the right leads for them. It was not the right combination. I don't think they had good chemistry with each other on that aspect. Like anytime the brief moments that you saw them together, they didn't look like a good couple.
Well, I mean,
And
there's
then
a
at
20-year gap between the two of them. We'll start
Yeah.
with
and
that.
then at the end of the movie when they're like together and they're like, "Oh, I love you so much. Let me swallow your face." Um I'm just like, "Ew. Gross."
To be
Like
fair,
gross. Like for real. It's like watching somebody chug a jar of mayonnaise and it's just like just cuz the script says to doesn't mean you have to pretend you like it. Gross, dude.
okay,
Yuck. All right,
whatever.
so
I liked
so
it, but that's me.
I mean
I
some
thought
people
it's one of
like
the most
mayonnaise.
scenes of romantic
Um
scenes of cinema.
and then the second part of it is, and I think that this is my biggest issue, and it's more of a me thing, but it kept reminding me of other things that I like better.
You say that so often in this show. Like
It's
so
so
often. You're like, it
true.
reminds me of things I like better. There was this movie where I sawed off a guy's face. That was a great. I was like, what?
No, it's just I kept live texting it with you guys. Just like this right now I'm feeling Robin Hood. Okay. And then a couple minutes later, it's like, oh, I'm feeling some Willow off this right here.
Another
And
movie
it's
I didn't
just
like.
but it's just like it just reminded me of other movies that did what it was trying to do so much better. Like even some of the chase scenes, I'm like, hey, this reminds me of that one song, "Send Me an Angel," from I don't remember by who it was by, but if you see the music video, very Ladyhawke, and quite frankly, it told the story a little bit better. Not gonna lie.
Agree to disagree on that one.
Send me an angel.
Was attacked.
No. I walked into this fully realizing that I was going to have a much higher opinion of this movie than probably the rest of you. And
You know
that's
what,
okay.
Branson? I am glad that this one has weathered the nostalgia train better than Guyver 2 for you. To be, I felt so bad for you after Guyver 2, and just
Wow.
it was like watching somebody tell a kid that Santa doesn't exist.
I was legitimately like worried that Guyver 2 was going to be as scarring to you as your tomato.
Oh.
Wow, I haven't thought about him in ages.
Actually, it's probably would be worse because he didn't enjoy Guyver 2 while he was devouring it.
Right? Right?
That's so funny.
Right?
Number 6, stop trying to reach for John's throat. Stop. Stop. Bad number 6.
Can we talk about
you numbered them?
Alfred Molina for a minute? Because I'm not sure why he was present. I enjoy Alfred. I wanted more of him. So this is my thing. This is what and this is something we've said many times on the show also. Again, it's an interesting movie, but walk with me on this. What if instead of doing a 2-hour movie, they did a 10-hour series and we stretch certain story portions out, like Alfred Molina hunting down the wolves, get a little bit of why he's even involved in the world, and all that kind of stuff. Like if we can pace those things out a little bit more, make some of these characters a little bit more rich, I think that would have added a lot more. I
Maybe have a
genuinely
couple of
like,
episodes where you see the bishop pursuing Isabeau.
yeah, or
And
just
then,
flashbacks. Just give me
episode-
flashbacks of those.
Yeah, like maybe episode 3 or 4, see him actually make the deal with the devil. And see the curse enacted.
Legitimately would have benefited from having more exposition and less show and tell, if that makes sense. Because there's things they just assumed you would go with, and it didn't go well.
Right.
Dallas,
Sir.
I have it. I have the idea.
Oh no.
Present.
Take your series idea, like a 10 episode series, make it a samurai anime.
Honestly, a Ladyhawke anime in the current setting would work because again, they could then add more story to it.
Nah, I want my samurai anime in the style of Revenger, how that came out last year.
Oh yeah, that was a good style.
Yeah,
I can see that working. So I want to go back to Alfred Molina because his scene at the end, or in the middle of the movie where he dies, I want to talk about that moment for a moment.
Like what?
Because
okay, you keep saying this name, but I'm trying to remember who this
Cesar,
person
he
is.
was the wolf hunter.
Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2.
He was really dirty, so it's hard to recognize him. But he's the one that when Isabella, or was that her name? Isabeau. She transforms into her human form in the barn, and they have the dancing scene between her and Ferris Bueller. They walk out, and then there's the home dude with the wolf pelts, and she's freaking out.
Oh right, yeah, that guy.
That death scene, though, I'm not gonna lie, because like the wolf shows up and she sees that it's home dude, and so she has a knife, and instead of stabbing him in the head, she kicks him. And literally, my words to Celeste like, "Well, that's not gonna do anything. Stab him." And then you see that he landed on the bear trap, and I was like, "Well, okay, well that works too. I guess that's a good way to take him out."
He did legitimately.
But
okay, now stab him.
But Isabeau is supposed to be a daughter of a count. She's not a warrior princess.
Right.
She is a lady of the realm. She wouldn't know what to do with a knife.
Pointy end goes into soft parts.
Generally.
Put tab A into spot.
But
3 pounds of pressure, eyeballs pop.
But in the heat of a tense moment where you were fearing for either your life or the love of a loved one, the love of the life of a love.
The love of a life one.
Welcome to the live dig, ladies and gentlemen. Han Solo's going to show up.
No.
So anyhow, it's not hard for me to see her being inept in combat, given who her character is supposed to be. She's probably not someone who handles stress.
I get that, but
stressful
my girl
situations.
jumped on that horse and ran out like Dom, like freaking Fast and Furious. This is family going after this dude. Like she got on the horse, grabbed a knife. She was on
I'm
it.
not
She
saying
had
she doesn't have
intentions to
spirit.
use that thing.
I'm not saying she doesn't have spirit, but have you ever gotten up and gone to do something you knew we were going to do, and then get halfway through it and realize I have no clue what I'm doing?
That's called ADHD, Branson.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean,
it wasn't believable for me to see her struggle with a knife. You know,
He's
And
not
I get
saying
that.
it was unbelievable. It's just he wanted her to stab him.
But then when I saw that she kicked him into the bear cage, I was like, I'm okay with this. This was a good death. Like I genuinely laughed harder than I should have at that moment when I realized what had happened. It was great. It was fantastic.
The fact that they focused on him twitching in the like, why are we watching this poor man just like twitch?
Yeah. I did have two scenes also during the movie where Celeste and I were both like, holy crap. One was when they shot the arrow into the hawk form lady.
Before we knew she was the lady.
Yeah. We suspected, we knew, but we didn't know. And they shot her in the chest. We're like, holy crap. And then the other holy crap moment was when the wolf fell in the water and they're trying to get him out and they're struggling. I legitimately had some stress about that. Maybe it's because I'm a dog person. I don't like seeing pups get hurt. But at the same time, I was like, get him out.
I had stress about both of those things because I did not check this movie on The Dog Doesn't Die before I watched it. And I was like, if this animal dies, I'm a riot. I don't care if it's normally a human. That's a puppy.
So, but I did appreciate the moment, like we talked about earlier in the show, where like he's yelling at the kid, and then he realizes that, like the scarring on his chest. He's like, he's here, like he's locked in. He's genuinely trying to help. I appreciated that scene because there's a lot of people like will be flaring. This is not my weak connection, but there's a lot of people like we're just in a rage, and we miss the fact that people are genuinely trying to help us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the first time I spoke about this movie on Geek Devotions, I did a devotion on the role of Father Imperious, about how he was in the right place at the right time to finally make up for his past mistakes. And I keep saying so-and-so is one of my favorite characters in the movie. I think they're all my favorite character in the movie. But what I appreciate about Imperious is his need for everything to come out okay. Like his this and part of it is a personal thing. Like I've got to make up for my mistakes. I've got to make up for my sins. But it's this deep seated, I can't let you make this mistake the way I did. I can't let you live with guilt the way that I lived with guilt. And I don't know. I've said how I feel about this movie. So.
All right. Well, I think we're winding down sufficiently. Let's go ahead and transition over to our rating system. Celeste, Your Highness, have you been able to get the rating system down enough to share with others what it means?
I have it in front of me.
Oh,
I looked at the notes. I cheated.
Oh.
So, the rating system for the bottom shelf, even in the wormhole, is top shelf. I need to own this. Middle shelf, if it was on, if it's streaming, if, walked in and it was just on the TV, like Branson did originally. Bottom shelf, probably won't watch this again. Dumpster fire, I will actively try to keep people from watching this. And to our knowledge, we've never put a movie in the dumpster. Because even if we have,
because it burned.
Except maybe one might have escaped and became a Netflix exclusive TV show.
That's another story. Okay. So Branson, I think we all
Yes.
know what you're going to rate it, but you might surprise us. What's your rating?
Well, if we're going specifically by the breakdown, I
Mm-hmm.
not only own this, I own multiple copies of this. I have the original DVD that my wife got me when we were dating, and I have a Blu ray copy so that I can see it in high definition glory. I have watched this multiple times. I will watch it multiple times. I would be disingenuous to rate it as anything other than the highest place on the toppest shelf of our rating system. It is a solid, enshrined forever top shelf, in my opinion.
Okay. John?
Gross.
That's not an option, John.
No, I was just no. I wanted to like this movie. Like I said, for Branson's sake and for my mom's sake, I wanted to like this movie, but I couldn't pull myself out of Catwoman and Hobo with a shotgun, and Matthew Broderick made me want to stab myself in the thigh, and I just. I just get frustrated with this movie because I can see how it could have been so much better, and I wish I could see it through Branson's eyes, but unfortunately, it just it doesn't do it for me. Like, I literally took an hour break in the middle of this movie to go do something else and come back in the middle of it. So, but I don't like hate it to the point where like I'm like it needs to cease to exist. Like, it doesn't offend me on a personal level. It's just not for me. So this one's gonna
Fair
be
point.
a solid bottom shelf for me.
Okay.
Like, I get why people like it. It's just I don't.
Dallas?
So for me, uh, you know, again, Matthew Broderick, I actually enjoyed his character. I thought it was fun, and I appreciate the romance of the movie. It's legitimate. It's a beautiful tale of love and being having it so close but so far away at the same time, and I can appreciate that. At the same time, it has a lot of stuff going against it. For me personally, I just not really big into medieval high fantasy stuff. Um, 80s and 70s storytelling has a very slow pace to it. Um, again, I spent half the time going, did they brush their teeth? Like, when's the last time they bathed? Like, what's happening here? And it confuses me. So for me, like John, it doesn't offend me on a personal level. I am not dumpster firing this movie at all. And I totally respect why Branson loves it. But unfortunately, this will not be going on a top shelf for me. It's a middle shelf. It's cool. I It's not a bottom shelf. I'll watch it again. If it's on television, I'm chilling. I'm like, yeah, cool. Watch it, Ladyhawke. That's cool and neat. It's a fun movie at times. I genuinely laughed. I genuinely had suspenseful moments at it. I did call what was happening. I kind of I'm with John. I'm like, man, it'd be kind of cool if it was an anime type of thing. I I I want a 10-hour miniseries. I need somebody to take this story and stretch it out and make it in a 10-hour miniseries because I think that will do this story so much more justice than what it's been given. Um, so yeah, middle shelf, a firm, happy middle shelf.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right, Celeste, that leaves you. You're gonna have to break this three-way tie we got going on right now.
Right. So this is not it's not going to be a top shelf for me. Just it's just not. Like, I understand why Branson likes it. It's it it's one of those things of I think if I'd come in a bit more prepared and if nobody had compared it to The Princess Bride, it would have been better because I came in expecting that, and that is my favorite movie. So, it's I came in expecting similar to Princess Bride, but more grounded, and that's not what I got. Um, so but at the same time, if it's on, I'd watch it. Like, it's a fun movie to Mystery Science Theater 3000 it. Like, just sit there and make jokes and make fun of things, and oh my god, how did that sword actually go through him? It's duller than my butter knife. Like, these are things that would be a fun movie to make fun of. I tried my best not to make fun of it because I didn't want to get it set in my brain that it was not a like, I was trying to be open-minded about it. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna put it on the middle shelf.
Well, all right then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, according to the bottom shelf, Ladyhawke is a contested but solidly planted middle shelf film. And we want to hear from you guys. Did you like it? Do you not like it? Reach out to us and let us know. Hopefully, whatever strange being has vanished us into this wormhole is pleased, entertained, and will you please get Branson some pants? Crying out loud.
How do you even make pants with 8 legs?
Don't know.
Hey, you're the crochet artist. Figure it out.
I'm telling you, call Squid. Y'all have a meeting, make it happen.
Can I get reception in the wormhole?
I got no bars.
Man, your rap career's down the drain too now, John? Crap.
I know, right? Also, this should I be concerned that the manufacturer of the ship, it was Spirit Airlines?
I feel like that's a joke. I feel like that Glix put that there as a joke because we did not buy it from Spirit.
It's not Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit. It's time for the Weak Connection.
This is a weak connection.
I was so confused by that transition.
I was following Dallas. As soon as he jumped in, I'm like, all right, I can rock with this.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to the Weak Connection section of this episode of The Bottom Shelf, where we try to discern any spiritual truths we can from this middle shelf movie. So as we come here today, who has a bottom? I mean, I'm not a bottom shelf, a weak connection for this movie.
Branson, you cannot do 10 connections.
There are only 8, Dallas.
You have hands, goober.
But my hands are holding the Bible.
You're holding them up in the air. You're over here like, I have the power. This counts.
No, that was the devotion earlier today.
He looks like one of those flower things that you'd fight in the desert in the original Legend of Zelda. Just spinning around with hands out. Anyway, let's go ahead and start with Branson, because like this movie is his jam, so I'm sure he's been waiting.
All right. So this movie is rife with potential starting points for spiritual truths. Another reason I love this movie. But for today, I'm going to focus on one of the most pious characters in the entire movie, and it is not the bishop, obviously. It is not the former priest who has a past that he struggled with. It is not even the honor-bound knight who believes he's on a quest from God to kill the bishop. It is, in fact, Philippe Gaston, the little mouse. He is the most pious character of this entire movie, and I'll tell you why. Throughout the entirety of the movie, every moment, every point, he is praying to God. At every moment. When we first meet him, he fell into the sewers and he sees what we know is the cow skull floating towards him, and he thinks it's some kind of monster. And he jumps up on the ledge and says, Lord, I promise I'll never pick another pocket as long as I live. I swear it. Now here's the problem. How can I prove my good faith to you if I die? And turns out that skull was just a skull. And from that moment on, he is a hardcore believer. God saved him from what he thought was certain death. And from that moment, he is praying. He is talking to God all the time. In fact, at what point in the movie, he even says, I talk to God all the time. And he's not lying. He talks to God all the time. Now, it isn't reverential prayer. It isn't him quoting the Lord's Prayer. It isn't him taking the Eucharist. It's not him going to church. He's just talking to God like God's one of his friends. and he gets confused and he makes bad choices and he's constantly trying to figure out what it means to be a pious individual, to be someone who has chosen to follow God. But what I absolutely love about him is no matter how many times he missteps, no matter how many times he ends up in a situation he doesn't like, he never, not once, shakes his fist at God and says, what's the deal? Come on. I don't understand. What's the problem? In fact, there's a moment where he says, when he's going back into the city of Aquila, he says, "We have come full circle, Lord. I do hope there's some higher meaning in all of this. It would certainly reflect well on you." Like throughout the whole process, he is trusting that God has some plan. He doesn't know what it is, but he is trusting God. And that reminded me of a verse in, let me find it, Philippians chapter 1. I think it's chapter 1. Hang on. Y'all can edit this out. I got to make sure I have the, I should have looked up the, hang on. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Oh, it's Philippians chapter 2. That's why I couldn't find it. My mistake. And now my Bible app is going crazy. Philippians chapter 2. There we go. Philippians chapter 2, starting in verse 12. "Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, so now, not only as in my presence, but much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you both to will and to work for his good pleasure." Philippe Gaston to me embodies this because he's working out his own salvation. He's like, okay, I'm a believer now, and I have no clue what that means, but Lord, you and I are going to figure this out. I'm going to do what I think is the right thing to do, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but whether it works out or not, I'm going to figure it out. And his get back upness, if that's even a phrase, the way he
Sisu.
constantly Sisu, yes, yeah, the refusal to be knocked down. He gets knocked down, but he gets up again. Yeah, they're never going to keep him down. He gets knocked down, but he
If
gets
you
up
ever
again.
if you ever describe Sisu with that song again, I'm gonna lay hands on you, bro.
Hey, I've got hands to spare. I've got 8 of them. But okay, 10 if you count the ones I started with. But uh, I love the fact that no matter what circumstance he's in, he's constantly talking to God. He's constantly praying to God. He is talking to God about everything that is going on in his life. And while it's comical because he's a thief, and sometimes it's obvious he clearly doesn't understand spirituality in the way most followers of Christ understand spirituality, he is wholly dedicated to following the Lord. God saved his life, and so for better or worse, through thick and thin, he is following the Lord. Even when he's talking to Father Imperius at the end, and he says, "I promise I'll be at the pearly gates, even if I have to pick the lock." Like he has no concept of how to enter the pearly gates of heaven, but his idea is, "I'm gonna be there," and that is a kind of grit. That is a kind of endurance that I I wish I had at times. Sometimes it's very tempting for me to, honestly, when things are good, when things are going the way I want them to, I get very lax. I get kind of comfortable in what I'm doing, and I stop trying to figure things out, and I stop trying to seek the Lord, and I stop trying to understand His Word. I stop trying to work out my own salvation, and I get to a point to where instead of speaking to God daily, I get to a place to where days or weeks go by and I can't remember the last time I prayed. And then you have this little thief who's fresh out of the jail, technically a criminal, and he is talking to God all the time. He is working out his own salvation. He doesn't understand all of it, but he's trying to understand all of it. And I love that, and I wish I could emulate that better. That idea of God, I don't understand it now, but we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna keep seeking you as best I can, and even if I trip up, even if I mess up, even if I find myself on the top of a tower and the lady I'm trying to rescue falls completely off the edge, and I have to tell the truth about what happened to her. That's a very specific reference to the movie, by the way. uh, whatever is going on, I'm going to follow you as best I can. And I this time watching the movie, I found that so endearing that Philippe has no clue who God is, but he knows God is good, and he pursues him with all of his heart. And I think that is something that we as followers of Christ could learn from this little mouse. That's my weak connection.
All right. Anyone else?
I have one.
All right.
So mine is I'm looking at the story of our faithful knight, and he's on this like mission. He's like "That's a mission from God," and they're like, "So I'm gonna go kill these people." And it's like I don't think I think you need to go back and pray, man. And legitimately, it is like, but what it is that he's just so blinded by vengeance, so blinded by anger, so blinded by bitterness that if he were to continue the path that he was doing, he would have destroyed any opportunity to fix what it is that was bothering him. He would have destroyed the opportunity to be made whole, to be with his bride, or the one that he wanted to be his bride. And it's but that bit, and it came down to the wire. He still was struggling with it, and he was like, "I just kill him. Just go ahead and kill him." And to the point where he left instructions where, "Hey, if this is go well, go ahead and kill her quickly, just to show her good graces." Not even having trust in the process of making things happen, because he is so blinded by bitterness, and that is something that takes place in everyone's life. If we allow bitterness, we allow anything to get in front of what we're doing, we'll be so blinded by it that we will miss what God really has for us. We'll be missing what needs to take place. And you even see in the scriptures, there's a passage in 1 Samuel 22 where Saul, he is so blinded by anger and bitterness that he kills a priest who did nothing wrong. Like he comes up to this priest who David earlier had tricked and gotten some bread and gotten a sword, and Saul's going after him, and the priest's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is the first time I ever heard that you had a problem with David. This is the first time I ever heard that like, to me, David was like, he's your son-in-law. He's your right-hand man. He's out there killing the Philistines for you. I didn't know there was an issue." And Saul is so blinded by his anger that he murders a priest. And if we are not careful when we are bitter, when we are been hurt by people, whether they have rightfully hurt us, or sometimes we're bitter about something that's hurt us that people don't even know they hurt us with. We're so blinded by those things, and we don't give those over to God, we will end up hurting more people, and we will be causing more issues for ourselves. Saul killing this priest and doing everything he did, he was just heaping up more offenses and making the whole country going, something's wrong with that man.
Mm-hmm.
Something's wrong with Saul, and made them more endearing toward David. And if we're not careful, out of our bitterness, the way it will seep out, the way we talk to people, the way we treat people, the way we view situations, we'll walk into a situation that has nothing to do with the situation that we're dealing with, but because we're looking through the lens of bitterness, because we're looking through the lens of everything else, we'll be like, well, clearly that's such and such, and we're overlaying our own trauma onto things. And then even to the point when we're talking with the people who are hurting because we have our own trauma that we've not dealt with, because we're not getting rid of, we're actually imbuing our own bitterness and trauma onto them, hurting them in a way that they have nothing to deal with. And so my encouragement is, take care of bitterness and be calm. Proverbs chapter 4 talks about guarding your heart, starting in verse 23. Keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. And so what this the psalmist is saying, he's like, look, guard what's here. Don't allow junk to get into it, because springs of life come out of it. On the flip side of that, if it's polluted, if it's nasty, springs of pollution and nastiness will creep out. Verse 24, put away your crooked speech and your devious talk from you. What's happening is the psalmist is beginning to walk us through how to guard our heart, how to put away crooked speech, devious talk. Put those things, get rid of those things out of your life. Let your eyes look directly forward and your gaze straight before you. Keep your eyes on the Lord. Keep your eyes on what God has for you. Don't look to the left or right, as it says at the bottom of that, but keep moving forward. Ponder the path of your feet, then your ways will be sure. And what that means is, be intentional about the steps you take. Be intentional about what you're going to do, about what you're going to say, how you're going to respond to the world around you. In verse 27, do not swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. That's what we have to do, because if we don't, we will allow bitterness, anger, unforgiveness to taint everything everything we do, from our friendships to our marriages to our working relationships to just your neighbor and the crazy person in Kroger that smells like bacon.
Why does the crazy person smell like bacon?
That's a question we all ask.
It's better than smelling like calamari, just saying.
All right. Well,
No, you
Wanna-
probably should away from salt.
want to thank everybody for tuning in and hanging out with us for this episode down the wormhole. If you get this transmission, send help. We are trapped watching good movie. I'm not sure how this is a punishment. I'm sure we'll figure it out somewhere along the ways. I
Somewhere.
suppose.
Somebody will write that into the storyline.
Send a
It's
pattern.
enticing us to want to stay here. We never want to leave because we
Did we-
watch good movies. It's
Did
like
we
a-
decide who's opening their box next in this?
I think it was Celeste.
Me? I get to open a box?
I think so.
Yes.
Is there going to be a pattern for 8-legged pants?
The movie box.
Oh.
So tune in next time to find out what's in Celeste's movie box. So until next time, does anybody have anything else they want to promote before we go off the air?
Check out the Bottom Shelf on Facebook and Instagram. Also check out our podcast feed and YouTube. Share it out to folks and let us know what you think.
All of that.
Check out all the other Geek Devotion stuff.
Yes, all of that too. And a little something coming out eventually whenever free time allows. Branson and I are talking about doing a extra Tuesday podcast every so often called Church Talk with John and Branson. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just candid conversations about things that strike our fancy, with Branson being a former pastor and me going into seminary. So conversations to ensue. But until then, everybody, stay devoted.
Peace and love.